Beginners, if you are still struggling to bead a dress or you've never done it before and you're wondering how to go about with it, come closer, because in today's video I'm going to show you how to sew this beautiful off-shoulder blouse right here, and I'll also show you how to bead it. This is literally the second beading work that I've done. This one I did for my wedding is the first, and look at how beautiful it looks, and this is the second one. And trust me, I did not attend any beading class whatsoever. I just watched a YouTube video and I got to know how to bead, and today I'll be showing you how to do this. That being said, let's get started. Mind you, this is a continuation video where I showed how to cut an off-shoulder dress. If you have not seen it, please go ahead and watch that video. I also showed how to sew, how to cut the scallop neckline and the scallop hemline. So please start with that video before you continue with this one. At this point, I've cut on the fabric and this is what it looks like, and I've joined everything together. As you can see, it's already taking shape right here. And then this is the inner part of it, and this is what we have after that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll do the same thing on the lining as well. So everything I did on the fabric, I'll do the same thing on the lining. So after I'm done cutting, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the neckline using 0.25 inch sewing allowance. I'll also sew the hemline, joining the lining to the fabric, and I'll sew the side seam as well. And then for the back, so remember, for the front we went down by 2.5 inches, so for the back I'm going to go down by 2.5 inches. And then here I'll go down by 4 inches or 3 inches depending on how low you want it to be, and I'll connect it. So you can draw a straight line like this, or you can create that scallop effect that we have in front as well on the back. Whatever you want to do is up to you. So after cutting, this is what we have for the main fabric, and I've cut the lining as well. So I'll place the lining on the main fabric, and this is where the zip is going to be. So now I'll sew using 0.25 inch, closing the neckline and the hemline, and I'll also sew the side seam as well. So by the time you're done, this is what the front looks like. So take your time and iron this very well. I have not ironed mine, and this is what we have, and this is what the back looks like as well. So for the sleeve, I have a pattern paper that I'm going to be using for the sleeve. The width of it is on fold, so the width of it is 8 inches while the length of it is 7 inches. This will be the front side, and then the other side will be for the back. So at this point now, I'm just going to measure from the center. I'm going to measure 4 inches to 5 inches depending on your body size. I use 4.5 for mine because based on how I've been sewing off shoulder, that is the length that works perfectly well for me. That is the width of the sleeve that works perfectly well for me, 4.5 inches. Then from that 4.5 inches, I'm just going to place my fabric onto the pattern paper like this. At this point, I just want to trace out the armhole of the fabric. So I'll leave about 0.25 inch from the top, and I'll trace it out all the way to about 1 inch away from the side seam. So it can be more than 1 inch. You can leave about 2 inches away from the side seam, depending on how wide you want the sleeve to be. And then I'll do the same thing for the back. Now I'll just connect it downward, drawing a straight line like this for both the back and the front. So after that, I will now create this scallop effect that you can see on the sleeve as well. I'll do the same thing on the downside as well, and I'll cut it out. So after that, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to cut this on the fabric, and I added 0.25 inch sewing allowance on the up and on the downside, but on the armhole area I did not add any sewing allowance. So I have 2 pieces of this, one for the left side and one for the right side, and I use the same fabric to cut the lining. So now I'll just sew it on the upside and on the downside using 0.25 inch sewing allowance. I'll turn it to the right side and I'll iron it very well so that it will have a clean finish. And then now I'll just be joining it to the armhole. So I've joined for this other side. I'm just going to show you how I did it. So I'm just going to the front side of the sleeve. I'm going to attach it to the armhole area of the bodies. So I'll make sure I start from the upside and I'll connect it all the way to the side seam point. for the front, and I'll do the same thing for the back as well. So I'll take the back side of the sleeve, back side of the fabric, and I'll join into the back side of the sleeve. So I'll make sure that I align the upside together, and I'll just sew using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So you can use more than 1/2 inch sewing allowance depending on how fitted you want the off shoulder to be. So after I'm done joining, I'll just turn this to the right side facing each other like this, and I'm going to join the side seam. I've done the same thing for the other side, and this is what we have. So I'll just do the same thing on this side as well. So by the time you're done, this is what we have right here. So make sure you iron as you go. So at this point now, we're going to start the beading. I've done this, a part of the neckline, and I'll just show you how to go about with it. So the part where that circle design is going to be, you're going to use a pencil or a chalk, and you start tracing out where you're going to bead on. So you're going to draw circle, smaller circle, and then you increase it as you go. So you start small and then you increase like that. So make sure they are close together, although it depends on the size of the beads you are using. Like mine, they are very close to each other because the beads that I'm using, they are very small. Like this is what I have available at home, and this is what I decided to use. So if you want to buy your bead, you can go to the market and choose any type of bead that you want for this particular design. Just be creative and do what you think you want to do. So after you create that design, you can go ahead with the beading, and then now you just pass the needle through the smaller hole, and then fix the beads inside, and then you pass the needle back outside, and then you continue with the process like that. So when you are starting with that small hole, you can use one bead at a time, and then as you go along, you can increase the number of beads that you are using. So what I'm doing here, I'll just pass the needle through from the back side, put the beads inside through the needle, and then sew it back inside to the other side. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do. Okay, so I noticed that the video was not very clear, so I decided to bring it closer and show you exactly what I am doing. So what I did was, first things first, I'm going to pass the needle through the beads. So I'm using 2 beads at a time right now. So when you pass the needle through the beads, you're going to take it and arrange it exactly where you want the beads to be, like this. So I'm making sure I'm aligning it to the circle that we drew. Then now I'm going to pass the needle through exactly where the beads stop. You're going to pass it through the fabric to the wrong side. Arrange it, and then now you pass it to the right side as well, but this time around it's in between bead 1 and 2. That's where you're going to pass the needle through. And then now this needle, you're going to pass it through the last beads, and then you take it to the other side like this, and you continue with the process. So you take 2 beads, you fix the needle, arrange it, making sure it's aligning to the circle that we are trying to create. Then you pass it exactly where the bead stop. That's where you're going to pass it through to the wrong side, and then arrange it again, and then pass it through to the right side, in between bead 1 and 2. They're just in between it, you pass it outside. Then now you take the needle and pass it through the last beads, and then you take it to the other side. So you just continue with the process until you reach the ending of the circle. So for mine, because I have 2 different color of beads, I'm just trying to be creative and doing what I think is fine. So when you are done with the circle, you're going to pass the needle through to the wrong side, and then now when you're passing it to the right side, you're going to take it to the next line, and then you continue with the beading process like this. So you're going to continue doing this until you reach the ending part of the circle. So I'm not going to show that. I will just show you the next process of the beading. So at this point, I'm assuming that we have done all the circles. So I'll just go to the next point. So these lines that I just drew out, is going to be the straight beads. Okay, so just create the design as you want, and you are just going to basically do the same thing that we have been doing all this while. So this time around I'm using 4 beads at a time. So I'll pass the 4 beads and I'll pass the needle through to the wrong side, exactly where the 4 bead stops. That's where I'll pass, and then now I'll take it to the right side, but I'm going to make sure it's in between the 4 beads. So at the middle of the 4 beads, that's where I'll pass the needle, and then now I'll pass the needle through the last 2 beads there, and I will remove it like this, and I'll continue with the beading process. So 4 beads, exactly where the bead stop, that's where you're going to pass it. Make sure it's aligning to the lines we created. Then you pass it to the right side in between the 4 beads at the middle, and then you pass it through the last 2 beads. So that is basically the beading process you're going to use. So you're going to do the same thing all the way to the other side. Just create the design that you want. So this is basically what I have right here. I used 2 different beads like I mentioned earlier, and this is what we have. At this point I'm not yet done. I just want to show you what it looks like at this particular time, and this is basically what we have. So I'm going to do this on the neckline, the same beading process on the neckline, on the hemline, and even the back. If you want to add beads, just be creative and do exactly what you feel like doing. So since this is your work, you can design it anyhow you want. The neckline, I'm going to be starting from the back of the sleeve, so that's where the beading process is going to start from, and I'll do the same beading. So this is basically what it looks like. So thank you so much for watching. Please do well to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, leave me a comment, and I'll see you in my next one.